Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Man, why is it every time I come out here to record something, some dude has got to like start up his Optimus Prime 18-wheeler hovercraft makes so much noise in the background. One of the challenges of the culture that we live in is learning to acquire your own means of articulation of what God is to you as a Muslim. And this is not something that is unique to our time. This is not something that is unique to our time. This is not even a particular flaw of so-called Western culture, because to be quite frank, other religious groups within Western culture have gone through this. Other non-Western cultures have had to deal with this. So this isn't a rant against the West. I just want to put that out there, because sometimes I feel it's misunderstood that when I'm making these kinds of observations that there's some sort of implied anti-Westernness to it. And that's not the case. But what I wanted to touch upon, as I had put in the title of the video, right, that, plagiarizing God, right? What did I mean by that? So, because of the prevalence of scientific thought and the reductionism of a materialist point of view, right? All that there is are atoms and molecules, randomly bouncing around and encountering each other, and yet somehow miraculously everything also working, but we're supposed to ignore the miraculous part. We're supposed to ignore the miracle part. And so there has emerged a descriptive language that we all inherit by proxy of being born here. And so a simple example is the term nature. We will use the term nature to, this is nature. And of course it comes from a root that means, right, to be born, right, to be born. And then, from this comes a kind of misconception that, it's just perfectly natural for it to be there, as if it gave birth to itself, which, as we know, is ludicrous. And so it actually turns on, we should be trying to turn on its head this idea that when you see, you can't see, but across from me, there's a beautiful orange tree. Alhamdulillah, I have an orange tree in my yard. And, there's bushes. And, even though clearly this was landscaped, when this house was built, they came in and they planted these plants. But even where we see things that are not the product of human development, like a rainforest or something, that it's still described as, nature, natural, as if it gave rise to itself. And what I mean to connect this with the plagiarizing part is that, for instance, Allah says in the 7th verse of the 18th chapter in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi zinatan laha linabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amalan. So Allah says, Inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi zina. We made everything upon the earth to be beautified, to actually be more beautiful than it actually would be. Because when a thing is muzayyin, right? When a thing has been beautified, that means that in its unbeautified state, it might not be beautiful just on its own. If it were left to its own, it would not have the quality that strikes us. And so when we look at the birds, we look at the flowers, we look at all these really wonderful things around us that are filled with beauty and wonder. And, that's just on the macroscopic level. When you go to the microscopic level, it's truly mind, just continues to blow the mind. This idea that what I'm trying to say is we find the so-called natural world, which that's why I do prefer the term creation. We find the so-called natural world so captivating as humans because it is also it's a product of design. I'm not trying to, co-opt the sort of intelligent design aspect, that argumentative theory. What I'm saying is that what you see is literally the beautification of God. And so this is akin, why did I say, plagiarism? This is akin to taking a painting or taking a beautiful poem or taking some artwork and then utilizing that and not saying, well, who was the artist? It's, it would be a kind of copyright infringement, a sort of intellectual property right infringement. And so that's what I'm really saying is that one of the downsides of using such a descriptive language, or rather not putting in the time to craft a descriptive language that, of course, is going to be in line with what Allah is saying in the Quran, so that it reminds you in your everyday existence, in your comings and your goings, when even just when you see a small little blade of grass poking up between the concrete while you're walking down the street in some urban setting, that that no matter how minuscule, no matter how small, you see this zina of the dunya. You see this zinatul ard. You see this beautification of the world, and that you realize nothing is capable of giving birth to itself. The trees do not give birth to themselves. It's the absurdity of the chicken and the egg argument. Who came first? It doesn't matter whether the chicken or the egg came first, because both of them have to have an originator and a creator as well. That's why trying to get to the end of such an absurd argument of the chicken or the egg is a fool's errand. And so it made me think that the way our attitudes today are, predominantly in Western culture, that now has gone to influence the rest of the world, is to deny the name of the artist, of this incredible work of artistry that we see before ourselves every day. That when we expose ourselves, when we do take that walk, in the forest or in the hills, or go to the beach or whatever, we get that feeling, but then we want to deny it's like going to a museum and seeing wonderful works of art, and there's no placard that tells you, well, who made it, and that is an important part of the appreciation, right? This is where it is, greater than art, right? An important aspect of belief is an appreciation and recognition of the Creator, because Allah is saying, what we did this not for aesthetic purposes. We did it to test you. لِنَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. We did it to test you. And so therefore to recognize the tester, to recognize the test, to recognize that all of this, right, wondrous, the sky above and whatnot, that they did not place themselves there. And so I'm I encourage us to think about slipping into types of language in which we kind of give ground to this mode of thought that takes the hearts of people far away from their Creator. And of course, we should always be trying to encourage people to be close to recognize their Creator, to bear witness to Him, to worship Him, and so forth. So, don't reduce this amazing thing called the creation of Allah to a kind of a meme, or certainly don't plagiarize Him by copy and pasting, or without giving Him due citation, Azza wa Jal. So just a quick reflection. Got to get ready for Jumu'ah, inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala bless you and your families, accept from you all of your worship and your good deeds, and overlook any of your mistakes and sins. And inshallah, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon us in these days. Wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.